name's Maylee. I'm the program leader for the Child and Youth Studies with Community Learning Development, and I'll be running the meeting tonight. I think I'm expecting about 14 people, but I'll just wait a couple of minutes and then we'll get started. We've also got Stephen McLennan, who's from the CLD Standards Council Scotland here, and as you'll be aware, the degree program's accredited with the CLD Standards Council, so I'm sure Stephen will help with any questions as well that you might have, and hopefully my colleague Alan Klein, who'll be running the placement modules for the program, will also be joining us. What I might do is actually just I'm going to do a little presentation, just tell you a bit about the degree program, and then let you ask any questions that you have about that at the end, if that's okay. And then if anyone else comes in, obviously they can just we can catch up with them later. So I'll just start this. I'll just share the I'll just share the presentation. Oops, sorry, that's the wrong thing. I'll just come out of that. Let's just check. Can everyone see that okay? Just give a thumbs up. Perfect. Okay, so so this evening we're just going to introduce the BA Honours Child and Youth Studies with Community Learning and Development. So this degree program is through the University of the Highlands and Islands, UHI. Just to say a little bit about UHI first. Some of you might be quite familiar with UHI. Some of you UHI is new to you. So UHI is an integrated university which encompasses further and higher education. So we have students who study with us all the way from schools up to PhD. So we've got a wide range of students. Some students stay with us. They start with us doing some school courses, and they continue with us all the way up to master's and PhD programs. It's a partnership of 13 independent colleges and research institutions, and you'll be enrolled at whichever is your nearest kind of campus or academic partner college for the degree. It's the only tertiary institution in Scotland, and it's one of only a few in Europe. It's not a traditional university, and I'll talk a little bit more about how the degree is delivered to give you a bit more insight into that. We have quite an innovative approach to learning, and our portfolio is really designed to meet the both current and future local and regional needs. Just next slide. So as a UHI student, you would be enrolled at one of the following campuses. So the UHI Perth, which is the lead academic partner, and that's where I'm based as a program leader. Argyll, Inverness, Moray, Orkney, Shetland, or Northwest Hebrides, which is a merged college, but they've got campuses based in the North Highlands, West Highlands, and Outer Hebrides as well. So just depending wherever your closest campus is where you would apply to and be enrolled at. So just to say a little bit about the Child and Youth Studies with Community Learning Development program itself. It's a degree program. It goes up to honours level, but you can exit at different points. However, to get the CLD Standards Council accreditation, you would have to complete the full honours degree program, because you have to complete 144 hours of placement to then get your registration with CLD Standards Council. It's a full-time program, but also has part-time routes. So for example, if you're someone who's currently in employment, we'd probably recommend that you'd be better taking the part-time route rather than the full-time route. It depends on how many hours you're working. So normally we say that if you're working full-time, you should study part-time. And if you're studying full-time, you should be working no more than 20 hours part-time, just because full-time study is really equivalent to full-time work. You can also study standalone modules as CPD, but again, you would be able to get your registration with the CLD Standards Council with just studying the standalone modules. But sometimes students want to take just an individual module just for that additional CPD to gain knowledge in that particular area. The main thing about the degree is that we deliver it using online flexible learning, and I'll say a bit more about that. So just to go over the program aims, so it's to develop an understanding of the contested and changing nature of the concept of childhood, youth, ethical principles, and children and young people's rights, both locally, nationally, globally, and the philosophies, beliefs, and attitudes that inform them. So children, young people, and communities are really at the centre of the degree program. It's to advocate for social justice and make students agents of change through understanding the implications of theory and research in childhood, youth, and community practice. It also aims to give students insights into the complexity, interrelatedness, challenges, and intricacies of constructions of professionalism, professional identity, and multi-professional practice in a diverse work and living context of childhood, youth, and communities. So it's really about your professional practice as well. And it's also developed students' critical awareness and the ability to reflect upon self and others. And that strand of reflection is one of the key strands that runs throughout the degree program. So in terms of who the degree is for, it's a multidisciplinary program. So it's aimed at students who are interested in a career working with children, young people, and communities, or practitioners wishing to enhance their existing knowledge and understanding. And as I've said a couple of times, it's an accredited award with the CLD Standards Council Scotland. So at the end of the degree program, you would then, and then with the further kind of caveats, you'd be able to register as a full member with the CLD Standards Council. In terms of the kind of discipline areas, it covers a variety of disciplines that are relevant for community learning and development. So we have modules that focus on psychology, sociology, social anthropology, history. There's just quite a wide variety of different disciplines, but all focused on that kind of community practice. In terms of funding, although it's delivered as a fully online degree program, it's fully funded by SAS as a taught full-time program. So if you haven't already used up your SAS funding, you'd be able to apply to SAS for full-time funding to do the degree program. There's also part-time SAS funding available depending on your eligibility. I would always recommend speaking to SAS directly in terms of what you're eligible for in terms of funding. Also within each of the academic partner colleges, so depending which college or which campus you're applying to do the degree, there's usually a student funding team as well, and they're usually very helpful and be able to discuss your personal circumstances and the type of funding that you're able to apply for. So if you are interested in applying for the degree or you've already applied and you're looking at kind of your funding options, I'd recommend getting in touch with SAS as soon as possible, and also possibly the funding team at your whichever of the campuses that you're applying to. So in terms of student support, UHI is the first institution in Scotland to adopt the Student Partnership Agreement, and this sets out how students and staff can work together to improve the student experience. If you have a look on the UHI website under student support, we've got a variety of different support available for you. So accessibility and inclusion support, financial support, keeping you safe, including keeping you cyber safe, support with your studies, wellbeing and mental health, and your campus support. And one of the key things at UHI is that we provide every student with a personal academic tutor. So that's a member of staff who basically supports you all the way through your learning journey. So they'll help you with pastoral support. They'll direct you to the right services. So for example, if you're a student who needs a personal learning support plan in place, they direct you to the correct department to get that in place for you. They'll advise you on things like if mitigating circumstances, on study options, so all sorts of different things, but they're kind of your key point of contact that you have throughout your learning journey. And a lot of our former students have commented on how much the personal academic tutor system has worked for them and supporting them throughout their degree studies. And that your PAT will be based at whichever academic partner college that you're enrolled at. So they're quite local to you as well. So in terms of the program team, just explain the different members of the different ways that you'll be supported. So I'm the program leader, so I lead the design, development, and effective delivery of the programs. We also have your personal academic tutor, as I mentioned before, so they'll provide you with all that kind of academic studies queries, and they'll also provide you with support even after you've exited. So they'll help provide you with references and things like that for future employment. You'll also have your module leaders. They're the members of staff who lead the design and delivery of your modules. So they'll write your module content, they'll deliver your lectures, give you all your activities, and write your assessments. And then you also have teaching staff on your modules. So although we're for example, I'm based at UHI Perth. I teach across many different modules on the program, and I'll be teaching students who may be based at Inverness, who are based at Moray, based at Shetland. So you'll have staff who are based all across the kind of academic UHI network who'll be supporting you. So even if you're based at a different academic partner to your to member staff, they'll still be teaching you online through your modules. So just to say a little bit about how the program is taught, because this may be slightly different to previous study that you've done. So it's the program is delivered through online flexible learning. So this allows you to fit your learning around your commitments. So for example, if you're working full time, this means that you'll still be able to engage with your study without having to attend real-time lectures. So it's taught using virtual learning environment. So what that looks like, you'll have structured weekly learning materials. So that might consist of some written lectures. It might include video lectures from the lecturers. It might include things like quizzes, like test yourself quizzes. It might be direct you to kind of different kind of links and give you recommended reading. So you have a whole variety of learning materials out there to support you with your learning. And then in addition to that, you'll also have collaborative learning with your peers on the modules, and that'll be through discussion board tutorials. So you have different discussion boards that you might be given activities to do. So you might have some group activities where you're given something to discuss, and you'll be posting your thinking around that on the discussion boards throughout the particular week of learning. But this is very flexible. So for example, if you're say working during the day and you've only got your evenings to study, you can post something on the discussion board, and then you may come back the next evening and somebody else has posted a response to you, and you can have that kind of ongoing discussion and conversation throughout the week. So in that sense, it's an ideal degree program if you've got these other commitments because of the kind of flexibility of the learning there. You'll also get support in terms of your assessment feedback and feed forward, and that's always aimed to be constructive and to help you develop as you're learning. So just to say a bit about kind of program structure. So each academic year, we've got 6 20-credit modules. So it'll be 120 credits that you'll complete each academic year. You have 3 modules taught in each semester, and there's 2 semesters in the academic year. So September to December and then January to May. And part-time students will either take 2 or 1 module for each semester. For the Child and Youth Studies with Community Learning Development, all your modules are core modules. So we've already decided on the particular modules that you need to take to get the qualification. And if you do have relevant equivalent credits from previous study, you can also apply for RPL or credit transfer. So you can either we can discuss that at the end of this presentation, or if you want to just speak to me individually, you can drop me an email and we can discuss the previous qualifications that you've had and whether that can contribute to some credit with us. So for example, students who've got maybe an HNC in working with communities, we'd be able to discuss whether you'd be able to apply for direct entry into second year in terms of the kind of amount of credits that you have. And just to talk a little bit more about kind of the time, and I've mentioned this already, each 20-credit module is worth an additional 200 hours of study over a 15-week semester. So that's equivalent to about 13 hours per module per week. Now, we wouldn't be expecting you to do that amount of study necessarily every week. So for example, in week 1 of the semester, you're probably not likely to be spending more than, say, like 10 hours per module, because we're kind of going to be easing you in quite gently. But when it comes around to assessment time, you might might be spending more than that time in terms of preparing and studying for your assessments. So we say it's broadly about 40 hours per week if you're doing full-time study, and part-time study would be between kind of 13 to 26 hours per week. And again, it kind of just depends on all sorts of other factors as well, but that's just kind of a notional idea of how much time we'd be expecting you to put into your study. So as I said before, if you're studying full-time, we would recommend no more than 20 hours in employment, just so you've got that time to do all that reading, to engage with your lecture materials, engage with your tutorials and so on, to give you the best chance of achieving the award. In terms of study, we have different kinds of study. So we have what we call tutor-supported study. So this will include your learning resources, so your lectures, your core reading and your discussion board activities. And then we also have self-directed study. So this is kind of the activities to support your learning that you might do yourself without necessarily having the guidance or direction from tutors. So this can include that wider reading that you're doing, that reading around the subject, and developing your personal knowledge of enthusiasm for the subject you've chosen to study. So at university level, we won't necessarily be monitoring that self-directed study. However, the majority of your time will be spent on that kind of independent self-directed study, and that will kind of support you in getting those good grades. In terms of the community learning and development degree program, a core aspect of this program is also your placement. So this is structured learning opportunities which are derived from or which are focused on the work of yourselves as individuals within the organizations in which you're on placement. So it's learning from the work that you're doing there. So students on Child and Youth Studies with Community Learning Development must complete 1,440 hours of placement. And over the course of your degree study, you'll be expected to cover the 3 domains of practice. So community development, adult learning, and youth work. Your placement hours will be built up throughout the degree program. So in first year at level 7, it'll be 40 hours of placement that you'll be expected to complete. In second year level 8, it'll be 200 hours. In third year level 9, it'll be 400 hours. And at level 10, which is your honours year, it'll be 800 hours. And you'll be supported by a university lecturer and a CLD registered practice placement supervisor. I'll actually go back a bit and say a little bit, sorry, say a bit more about placement. Oops, sorry, this is. Yeah, so if you are already working in a CLD in CLD practice and you would like to use your work as placement, we can discuss that further. It would depend on where you're working and whether your employer was willing to support that, and also whether there was there's a member of staff who was CLD registered to be able to support you as a practice placement supervisor. But as I said, that can be discussed later. For first, if you're coming in at first year, your placement wouldn't be until semester 2, and the same for if you're coming in at second year, placement wouldn't be until semester 2. So you'd have an opportunity to discuss that with your placement university lecturer and discuss the details of your placement, and also discuss that with your employer if they were going to be able to support you with placement. So just a few things to say about studying at university. We would say you need to be motivated, dedicated, and committed. Appreciate the time commitment of study. Again, as I've said, the reason I'm kind of emphasizing if you're working full-time, not studying full-time, is because we do have students who sometimes try to do both, but obviously it's quite hard to fit everything in, and particularly if you've got other personal commitments as well. So if you've got childcare commitments, if you've got other caring commitments, and you're trying to fit all of that in as well as your study, that will have an impact on your kind of achievement in your grades if you don't have kind of carve that time aside for yourselves. Also be willing to take responsibility for learning. Again, as lecturers and within your placements, we're there to provide you with those opportunities, but it's your responsibility to engage with the learning and the learning opportunities that we offer you. Again, at degree level, where it might be slightly different to previous studies, that we expect you to far more to take an independent approach to learning and to be self-organized. Also set realistic goals for yourselves. Again, as I said, if you're trying to fit in too much within the kind of time that you've got. You might need to take a step back, talk to your personal academic tutor, and talk about different kind of options for yourselves to be able to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Again, as an online program, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily on your own. There's still plenty of opportunities to collaborate, to engage with other students, to engage with your peers and lecturers. But again, you need to use those opportunities to engage in that kind of collaborative learning with your online learning community. Again, another really important aspect of degree study is to recognise the importance of asking for and for taking help. So again, the earlier you come and get in touch with us about any support that you need, the earlier that we can support and help you with anything that you need. And finally, just remember to accept all your feedback and feed forward throughout the degree programme as constructive, and use this to improve. Again, our motivation is always to help you to achieve those goals that you're wanting to achieve. So all our feedback and everything is meant to be supportive to help you to get to that endpoint. So this is a little chart I took from another colleague, which I think is really nice. You're at the center here when you're doing your degree with us. And then you've got all these different aspects of self-motivation, self-directed studies, self-evaluation, self-organization, setting your goals and working things out for yourself. So it's all about, remember, it's your learning journey. So the focus is yourselves and getting your, achieving that goal of getting your degree. Just another few things to say about attendance and absence. So by accepting an offer and/or enrolling on the programme, you agree to be bound by and comply with the university regulations and relevant policies and procedures. So again, this is just about your engagement with the degree programme and making sure that you communicate with us if there's any issues, and so that we can provide you with that support that you need. And in terms of doing an online degree as opposed to doing it face-to-face or in-person lectures, it just means that you need to make sure that you're logging in and accessing your learning resources regularly and participating in discussion board tutorials. We're just coming to the end here, and then I'll open up for questions. So what can I do with a degree? If you go to the Future Me podcast on the UHI website, you'll be able to hear from some of our alumni. Obviously, the Child and Youth Studies with Community Learning Development is a new program, so we don't. You'll be our first cohort of students on the degree program. However, the Child and Youth Studies degree without the Community Learning Development aspect of it has been running for about 24 years now. So we've got a lot of alumni who've graduated from Child and Youth Studies, including some students who have gone on to do Community Learning Development as a career after with further postgraduate studies. So the kind of careers that you might go on to do after completing your degree with us would be youth work in community schools or criminal justice, community development, community capacity building, community engagement and inclusion, community health and housing, adult literacy and lifelong learning, faith-based and rural work, issue-based practice on climate change and health and well-being, FE colleges, NGO charity work, citizenship and democracy, and campaigning for human rights, equality and social justice. So there's quite a wide variety of careers that you can go into, but all in community learning and development. You can, if you are interested in going on to do further postgraduate study with us, the degree can also use for progression onto a variety of postgraduate study with UHI, so the PGDE, the MA Children and Young People's Participation and Leadership, MA Health and Wellbeing, the MSc Applied Social Sciences, and the MSc Psychology Conversion. You can also go on to do the Masters in Social Work, not currently at the moment offered through UHI, but through other institutions, if that was something you were interested in doing. So that's the end of the presentation.